Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Well, I just want to give you my thoughts on these two cameras that I have. It's the Sony's A57 and the Canon 60D. And I was in Best Buy messing around looking for something, and I saw this Sony on sale as an open box item for just under $600 when the retail price is $800 with a lens kit. So I couldn't refuse that. It was like $200+ off. But I've been playing around with it, so I just want to let you guys know a little bit about both of these cameras and some of the specs that come off their websites. The pictures that come out of this A57, I absolutely love it. So I went to their website to see, what's so special. And I mean, I was amazed at some of the specs. And I mean, this camera literally has a built-in Photoshop, though the menu is mind-boggling. It's extremely difficult. But yeah, the Sony has more dynamic range than the 60D. It's like 13 EV versus 11.5 exposure value. So that's like 1.5 stops more dynamic range. It has better image quality by like 10%. And better color depth at 23.4 bit to 22.2, excuse me. And it has built-in image stabilizer, and it shoots at 12 frames per second and at 10 frames per second at full resolution, where the Canon shoots at 5.3 frames per second. And it has a larger viewfinder, the Sony, and the Sony has video autofocus where the 60D doesn't. And you can shoot 3D, the paranoid sweep and all that with the Sony if that's what you're into. And it has built-in HDR, which I absolutely love. I mean, it looks nice. And it shoots, the ISO, the sensitivity level is 16,000. Where it's 6400 ISO with the Canon. And the Sony has a larger sensor. Even though it's APS-C, it's a larger sensor than the 60D. And maybe that's why, well, I'm pretty sure that's why my images, my photos are a lot better coming from the Sony than the Canon. Well, not a lot better, but you can definitely see the depth of the color and the details when you crop. The build of the cameras are pretty much identical. They're both made of polycarbon with rubberized grips, and the 60D is a little heavier, but that's cool for me because when I hold my camera and I spend all this money on them, I want to feel like I'm holding my money's worth. But the connections are pretty much the same, except Sony has one more connection than Canon, and that's a DCN, where you can connect the adapter and still shoot at the same time. Where I know Canon sells an adapter too, but I don't know how that works. Well, yeah, but me personally, I like the images that's coming from the Sony. It's a little better than my Canon. Now, I bought my Canon 60D about 6 months ago, and I've been having my 7D about a year and a half now. And of course my 7D tops both of these. But the A57, I don't know, it might take over as my go-to camera when I'm out in the streets. If I can get this dang old menu together and figure out how to change my autofocus. Well, not my autofocus, but my points, to move them around. I haven't figured that out, how to move it around yet in this camera. It's pretty simple with the 60D. So once I figure that out and how to get my points to my subject eyes and stuff, I think I might fall in love with this camera. But the viewfinder, it's an electronic viewfinder. Now if you've never seen one, it's gonna take some time getting used to this thing. And it's like looking through at a TV screen. It's not as clear and it's not as natural as the 60D or any optical viewfinder, but it is pretty nice. I mean, you can see all your details is up in the screen in there too, your histogram and everything. And the screen, you get 1 million plus dots on the viewfinder. I mean, excuse me, on the LCD screen on the 60D, and you get 921,000. But when you turn them on and you look, you really can't see a difference. And it's one thing about this Sony, you can't swivel the screen around and see yourself and take a self-portrait. You have to flip it down and turn it toward you. But the problem is, what if you have it on a tripod or something? So that's kind of a bomber there. Which, you know, the 60D, you can take pictures of yourself, flip it around and everything else. But the button layout is pretty much the same. You just don't have as many buttons that control different things on the Sony as you do the A57. Excuse me, the Canon as you do the Sony. But it has a button layout in the menu where you can switch some of the buttons. Like, I switched my ISO button from up here to my function button. So I mean, you can pretty much customize your buttons too with the Canon. But them are just some of the things, guys. I don't want to go too much into too much depth and make the video real long. But at 12 frames per second, I mean, this thing is a monster. And the 5.3, definitely not for sports. But if you're going to your kids a volleyball, soccer game, or football or something, you know, this A57 is a great choice. And the pictures, some people say the pictures are a little over saturated. That may be so, but it's nothing that can't be fixed in post editing. But a lot of people like that look. But the HDR that come out of this is real nice. It's real nice. Alright, guys, as usual, you know, it's your money, you buy what you want. I'm just giving you a little insight. Oh, and one more thing, the lens that comes with, I don't own a kit lens for the 60D, so I can't really compare the lenses, the photos. I would have to use the kit lens, the 28 to 135, to shoot some pictures with the 60D, because it wouldn't be fair for me to use my L lenses to show you some sample pictures when all I got is a kit lens for the Sony. Alright, guys, as usual, it's your money, do what you want with it. Give me a little touch up on my thoughts on these cameras. Alright, y'all, you guys, subscribe and peace out.